through the years I've gone back and forth and back and forth, but then I came to the conclusion that I cannot leave my journals because of the confidences that people have placed in me, and also because I am so clear that I've written these journals for myself. And in fact, I have made a pact with myself that at any time I hesitate to put something down on paper for fear that someone will read it is when I either will stop journaling or force myself to write it, because I know these journals have been written for me. I'll do it later. This is the journal that I started when I turned 40. In this color, I said, I'm turning 40, so it was the day before I turned 40, but I was writing. I was spending a lot of time writing about what it was going to mean to turn 40. And you can see that in some of these journals I have different colors of ink. I got onto a peacock blue. So a lot of my journals are in peacock blue. Oh, you'll like this one. Someday I want to see it all. In my next 40 years, I want to see the tulips bloom in Holland. I want to ride in a gondola in Venice. I want to do and see so much more that I've never seen before. I have so much to live for, so much to look forward to. Okay.
How many journals are in the safe?
350. Yeah.
And what's going to happen to them?
What's going to happen to them? I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't completely decided. I am working on a project where I'm taking excerpts from them. I think that there will be some that I will give to people. The collection as a whole, I really don't know. I was thinking that in 81, I started, but this is 82, and it's only my 7th journal. So I'm thinking that I probably began earlier. You can see that these pages have come out. It's no longer intact. In my will, it's clearly stated that my journals are to be destroyed. That's not what I really want. What I really want is for me to have a great-grandchild who speaks to my soul in some way, who I could leave my journals to not be opened until 50 years after my death, so that my children and my grandchildren will not read them, because I think that I feel really strongly that if someone reads something and you're not alive to justify it or talk about it or explain it, it can be really detrimental. And so I think a great-grandchild is my only hope for that. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen, not to mention that it would be really costly, and how would I store them and what would I do with them? So that's an issue. What I do is I open up a journal, and these tabs on the top are the dates. And so I have the dates on both sides, so regardless of what page I'm on, what side of the page, I have the date. Sometimes I go through the whole journal and I just do the dates first, just to get it out of the way. And sometimes I just read, and each time there's a date, I put the tab for the date. And then what I do is one of my topics is first pages, and one of the topics is last pages. And it's really interesting because the first page, often I say, I love nothing more than starting a new journal. I have no idea what's going to be in these pages. It's always exciting. It's one of my very favorite things is a brand new journal. And then the last page is often summing up or reflecting on, whoa, what a chapter, I've done this happened, whatever. So those pages are interesting because they're really random, and there's stuff that kind of captures what went on in the journal, especially the last pages. And then I go through them and I read them, and as I'm reading, I tab them. So, for example, writing. I'm glad I thought to do that. I'm very thankful that I'm a letter writer because I think it has given me relationships that I would not have otherwise had. I cherish the written word and know that it does mean a lot to a lot of people. So that's just one little paragraph excerpt that I've taken. The next one, again, is writing. I feel that in writing the letters, I'm not only putting down things which I need to definitely say, but hopefully in some small way I'm bringing comfort to Bonnie's family. This was about a friend of mine who had cancer, and she had just gone through a bone marrow transplant, and I had just gone to visit her. So in this book, very often I have tabs with her name on it because I talk about a lot about her. It was as painful as I remembered it. I don't know that it was more painful, but it was certainly, I was right back in the moment, and I was having trouble sleeping at night again. And even though I knew the outcome, it was, I wrote it. I wrote from my deepest, most painful feelings, and it's all on the page. And I was like, there were days that I would be sitting here feeling like I was right back in that. It was amazing to me. So why would I? Because I want to learn, and I want to live the very best life I can live, and I want to learn from the mistakes I made, and I want to understand. I don't think you can experience the highest highs unless you've gone to the lowest lows, and um, watching what I learned, seeing from one journal to the next the growth and the understanding of life in a way from this perspective. It's very different. When you're in it and you can't see anything. But I have this perspective. I'm now 20 years past that. And so I can see the mistakes I made. I can see what I learned from it. I can see how I'm living my life differently as a result. And I can see who I was in all of that and who I am today as a result of it. And I'm not someone to run away from the pain if I can learn from it. So imagine having 40 years of your life documented. So it's not just what I did every day, but it's what I thought, how I felt. And when I go back and read it, it's bringing back all of those memories in a very powerful way because I just didn't document the experience, but I documented what the experience meant to me or how I was feeling in the moment that I was writing. And so, I'm living my life, but I'm also going back to this other time in my life when I'm bringing it back up. So it's very powerful to go back and read something that I wrote 40 years ago and be in that moment. And that's really what's happening. And it's also so intense. And it's huge. It's a huge undertaking. I'm not doing this superficially. I'm really reading each page. And with each page that I read, I'm determining, is this something I want to possibly revisit, or do I want to just leave this in the pages of my journal? Like that's there. I have, this is in this journal, I have the editorial from the Miami Herald from January 25th, 1986. This was the editorial about the exhibit, about the Anne Frank exhibit. It was one of my goals for the exhibition, so I have that in there. This is a really special journal. When I knew I was retiring from the center, I went out and picked a journal that I knew I would be happy to write with. Generally, I had started writing in much smaller journals because I needed space in my safe, and that was a consideration. But I saw this one. I love purple. I love butterflies. I said, this is a journal. So I began this on January 1st and finished it on August 18th. So in this journal is a list of is actually the writing of my book. So room 732, as I went through the process, is all in here. And here are my goals for 2012. So this was, I didn't put these at the end of the year, I put them in the beginning. Write my Hollywood Beach Hotel, complete entering 60 journals in the computer, which is my journal project that I'll talk about. Teach classes on living and leaving your legacy. Facilitate writing workshops. Volunteer with hospice. Visit survivors throughout the year. Be open to adventures. Enjoy the freedom that I now have. And remember that I can only change me and no one else. So of these goals in 2012, I accomplished all of them except completing entering 60 journals in my computer, because once I started writing my book, that process stopped. But this is this is really interesting for me because initially it was my mom dying. Here's this was when I went to the beach, and it was, let's see what date this is, January 23rd. So this is the beginning sentence. Today begins my official first day as a full-time writer. I was up at 6:09 at the beach by 6:45. I enjoyed a wonderful sunrise, yet another one painted for me by my father. As I walked along, I began to think about the freedom I have to be a writer. I realized in these past few weeks were necessary to do some of the soul work and get, I'm not going to read that part. And then I read about my mother dying and thinking about my parents. I wasn't sure if I would begin at the beginning, since each of the chapters in my book will be unrelated individual stories which could certainly be written out of sequence. I also have no idea what I want to do with each person, what stories I want to tell, so all of this is up for grabs. As I walked along, I decided that I want this book finished by my birthday, my first goal for this year. I have no doubt that I can do that. I can just look at words on the pages and know exactly what state of mind I was in when I was writing these journals. And this one, it appears as though I was going through some real soul searching. So it's pretty interesting to see.